Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Williams TopsTV community. Today, we are going to explore the 10 strangest tombs in England, a country with a long and rich history that hides many secrets and mysteries. These are some of the most curious and creepy stories that are hidden behind the English cemeteries. Are you ready to know them? Join me on this journey through the dark side of history, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the little bell so you don't miss any video. Let's start. Number 10. William Mackenzie's. In the very heart of Liverpool, just a few streets away from the bustling shopping center, stands a majestic 4-meter-high pyramid. No, it is not the funerary monument of some ancient Egyptian dignitary, but rather the peculiar legacy of a Victorian resident of Liverpool, known for his passion for gambling. This pyramid, the subject of numerous local legends, holds with it the mysterious history of its occupant. Before leaving this world, William Mackenzie left precise instructions for his final resting place to be unique. He wished to be buried at a card table with a victorious hand at gambling. Even more intriguingly, some hold the belief that Mackenzie was not buried at all, but that his body was placed upright in the ground in order to prevent Satan from taking possession of his soul. However, the reality is far from these fascinating legends. The tomb that houses Mackenzie, as well as his first and second wives, is simply a conventional underground burial. Despite this, the idea of the deceased leaning over a poker table inside a pyramid continues to capture the public's imagination, adding a touch of mystery and charm to the story. Number 9. Rajah Rammohun Roy. The Rajah Monument is one of the most impressive and visited structures in Arnos Vale, attracting devotees from all over the world who wish to pay homage to a man considered one of the fathers of modern India. Rajah Rammohun Roy, an influential Indian social reformer, left an enduring legacy in areas such as politics, education, religious and social reforms. His courageous fight against unjust practices such as child marriage and sati, where widows were forced to throw themselves on their husbands' funeral pyres, made him a revered figure both in his country and around the world. His sudden death in 1933 while visiting Bristol left a void in the reform movement. However, her influence endured beyond her lifetime, inspiring others to follow in her footsteps in the struggle for justice and equality. Several years after his passing, another distinguished reformer, Dwar Kenneth Tagore, commissioned the construction of the imposing monument in his honor. This majestic structure serves not only as a tangible tribute to his legacy, but also as a sacred place of pilgrimage, where devotees come to remember and celebrate the life and work of this great man. Number 8. Lord Edward. Cemeteries are home to a wide variety of sculptures, from angels to mourning figures, but Lord Clinton's monumental memorial stands out among the typical sculpted headstones. Lord Clinton, a distinguished politician, lieutenant colonel and fiancé of both Queen Victoria and King Edward VII, left an impressive legacy in history. Although tombs of such prominent figures are common in large urban cemeteries, the monument dedicated to him is a true masterpiece. The protected sculpture depicts a deceased woman resting peacefully and wrapped in a cloth while a kneeling man mourns her departure. But most impressive is the imposing angel towering above them, her arms and wings outstretched in a gesture of protection and comfort. This work of art is a palpable expression of emotions, from the pain reflected in the man's face to the serene and elegant presence of the angel. Every detail of this bronze sculpture captures a frozen moment of deep sorrow and hope, conveying a sense of eternity in the midst of human grief. Number 7. Karl Marx. Karl Marx's tomb is notorious for its sobriety and magnitude, a stark contrast to Victorian monuments adorned with inscriptions, brooding angels, and mournful urns. Instead of following this tradition, Marx's followers opted for a more direct approach, a monumental head. Marx, recognized as the author of the Communist Manifesto, was born in Germany but found his final resting place in London in 1883. Throughout his life, Marx faced outrage and exile due to his inflammatory political writings, spending decades in the British capital where he raised his children and became involved in socialist and labor movements. After succumbing to pleurisy, Marx was buried in Highgate in a modest ceremony, with very few mourners in attendance. 70 years later, the Marx Memorial Committee proposed the exhumation and reburial of the Marx family in a new location, which led to the construction of the imposing memorial that dominates Highgate today. Number 6. Frank Bostock. When it comes to majestic tomb decorations, few things can rival the impressive presence of a life-size marble lion. Frank Bostock, a true Victorian adventurer in the style of Frank Cuesta, captivated the masses with his fascinating exhibits on African and Asian wildlife. However, Bostock's life was much more than just a narrative of exotic travels. This intrepid man was a true artist of the Victorian era, touring the world with his menagerie of animals and gaining fame as a lion tamer. In fact, Bostock is credited with pioneering the use of a saddle as a dressage tool in his performances, marking a milestone in the history of this art. Despite facing dangerous encounters with lions and tigers, Bostock did not meet his end at the hands of either of these powerful felines, but succumbed to the clutches of a much more insidious enemy, influenza. Although his life was marked by danger and adventure, his legacy lives on in the memory of those who admired him for his bravery and passion for the animal world. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe. We also invite you to activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Number 5. Peter the Wild. In the wild corners of a forest near Hamelin, Germany, was discovered Peter, a feral boy who had spent a long time living in solitude among the foliage, moving on all fours and subsisting on wild plants as his only sustenance. It is believed that Peter suffered from Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, which quickly made him a curiosity to the court and to those who heard of his story. It was during a hunting party led by George I that Peter was found and brought back to the UK, where he became something of a flamboyant human pet, the object of attention and care by various court workers. Settled on a farm in Hertfordshire, Peter spent the rest of his days under the care of the various residents who lived there. Despite receiving an annuity for his livelihood, Peter was never able to communicate or fully integrate into his surroundings due to his severe physical and developmental limitations. His life at the court was marked by daily challenges, from convincing him to wear a suit to persuading him to sleep in a bed rather than in a corner of his room. In an attempt to keep him safe, after his escape in 1751, he was fitted with a leather collar with his name on it to identify him should he stray too far from the farm. Peter eventually found rest in the grounds of St. Mary's Church, where he was buried with a modest headstone. Number 4. Steve Marsh. The widow and children of a British citizen named Steve Marsh, who died at the age of 51, decided to honor his memory in a unique way. In a London cemetery, they placed on his grave a tombstone in the form of a replica of a BMW M3 convertible, which was his great passion. The tombstone, made of stone and weighing approximately 1 ton, was designed by a Chinese builder. It includes personalized details, such as the BMW license plate bearing Steve's name, Steve 1. The granite sculpture faithfully recreates all aspects of the original car, with BMW emblems on the front and rear, silver-painted headlights, exhaust pipe, and details from the sports car's dashboard. The tombstone, which cost around 70,000 euros, was a way of highlighting Steve's memory, his passion for cars, and his sense of humor. However, this originality has not been well received by others who have loved ones buried in the same cemetery. Upon discovering the BMW M3 convertible tombstone, some of them expressed their disapproval by placing a parking ticket on the windshield of the symbolic car. Number 3. Gladys. Gladys Spencer, an outstanding music and dance teacher, as well as a generous charity worker and talented music hall artist, left this world at the young age of 34. As a teacher at the Manor Park Classical Academy of Music and Dance, Gladys devoted much of her life to working with young talent, sharing her passion for music and dance. In addition to her skills as an educator, she was a pianist of recognized talent, whose artistry and dedication left a lasting mark on the community. Although details of her life are scarce, the monument depicting her is a poignant image of her devotion to her art. The scene of Gladys sleeping next to her beloved grand piano is a visual testament to her deep love and commitment to music. The inscription accompanying her image adds a touch of poignancy, remembering Gladys as "my dear Gladys," and with the phrase, "the gardener has plucked an even rarer flower," conveying the idea that her untimely departure left an irreplaceable void in the lives of those who knew and loved her. Although her time in this world was brief, Gladys' legacy lives on through her music, and the impact she left on those who had the privilege of knowing her. Number 2. Winchester Cathedral. Corpse tombs are a unique style of burial that can be found embedded in the walls of many old cathedrals and estates. They are unusual and often puzzling ancient monuments that offer a fascinating glimpse into the burial customs of bygone eras. Although other parts of Europe have a rich tradition of macabre sepulchral effigies, Britain has lost many of its most striking monuments due to Reformation and Civil War. Despite this, we can still find some ecclesiastical oddities that survive to this day. Corpse tombs, also known as transi, are a vivid testimony to the history of memento mori, reminding us of the inevitability of death. These funerary monuments take this reminder to a shocking level, displaying a life-size portrait of the deceased, dressed in the appropriate trappings of his or her social position. What is most striking is what lies beneath this representation: the corpse of the deceased, sculpted in stone and depicted in different stages of decomposition. It is important to keep in mind that these monumental tombs were only available to people of high rank and wealth, making them a symbol of status and power in the society of the time. Number 1. The Witch of Woodplumpton. Grave stories are not always about solemnity and fond remembrance. Sometimes they arise from suspicion and superstition, as in the case of the infamous Witch of Woodplumpton. Known as Meg Shelton, this 17th-century woman gained notoriety in her locality for her alleged witchcraft practices and mysterious pranks. According to legend, she was attributed with livestock diseases, crop failures, and even the ability to transform into animals, earning her the nickname the Filed Witch. Meg's death was as enigmatic as her life. She was said to have been smashed against a wall by a barrel. Was she really a witch, or perhaps simply a misunderstood woman or even a threat to the community? The reasons behind accusations of witchcraft in the 16th and 17th centuries were diverse and tragic, and Meg's case was no exception. However, the legends surrounding her life become even more intriguing in death. Despite her reputation, Meg was buried in consecrated ground, unusual for someone considered a witch. But most unusual was the way she was buried, face down, in what is known as a deviated burial. Legend has it that even after her burial, Meg seemed to disturb the peace of the village, emerging from her grave on several occasions. To prevent further disturbance, the villagers reburied her, this time with her head forward and a large rock over her grave. Since then, the restless presence of the supposed witch has not been seen again.